this program is basically a summary of my up and downs in my life. When we go through challenges in life, we don't know why it's happening, right? We always ask I ask myself, why has that happened to me? Until I understood that challenges in life is very important to grow and to gain a superpower. And this superpower will help you manage your next challenge.
Welcome to the 100th episode. 2 years ago, I started this podcast with my first guests, Irenka, Krone, and Nina Prochazka from Switzerland. And with today's episode, it has come full circle as I'm very appreciative to welcome my next guest from Switzerland, Vanessa Gentile. Vanessa is half Brazilian and half Italian. She grew up in the canton Thurgau until she was 21 years old, and then she moved to Zurich to pursue her career in the tech industry. Vanessa speaks 6 languages fluently, and she is the head of marketing at Salesforce in Switzerland. Vanessa's previous role was the Director, Alliance and Channel at Salesforce in Switzerland. She was responsible for the Salesforce Partners Eco-System, focusing on partners' capabilities and capacity according to the market growth and need. Vanessa focused on transmitting and emphasizing the Salesforce journey through partners to transform, accelerate, and innovate as Salesforce's strongest asset. To support the growth of women in the tech industry and help women come back to work after a career break, Vanessa founded Bring Women Back to Work to increase gender balance in the teams within the Salesforce Partner Ecosystem. Welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Thank you so much, Karen, for having me and inviting me to your podcast. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And now for people listening to us today, can you tell them where are you calling in from and maybe a particular food or site in your area?
Oh, sure. So I am calling from the beautiful Switzerland, therefore in the chocolate and cheese world.
That sounds quite tasty.
Yes, indeed.
Now, Vanessa, you have a truly fascinating professional, multilingual, and multicultural background. Could you share with our listeners more about that?
Sure. So I am a daughter of 2 immigrants. My father came from Italy. My mom is from Brazil. And they moved to Switzerland when they married in Brazil to get closer to my father's family in Italy. And then my mom got pregnant and I came into the world. So she had after that, one thing after another. She had never then the need to go back to Brazil, actually. And as both of my parents had to work, I was carried by a Spanish woman during the day. And she not only had me, but also their grandchild to carry. So it was really nice because that was the reason why I called her grandmother, because the children always said to her, she is our grandmother. And indeed, she is not my grandmother, or she was not my grandmother by blood, but she was definitely my grandmother by heart. And I was 9 years with her. And after that, she moved back to Spain, and my parents, after several years later, lost, unfortunately, that connection with her. So this is also why I speak Spanish, because this woman, she didn't speak a word of Italian or Portuguese. So she really just speaks Spanish at that time, and I was carried in Spanish as well. So I learned with my parents, obviously speaking Portuguese and Italian, but then also Spanish. And then when I entered in kindergarten, it was my 3rd or 4th language was German. So this is a bit around the story on my multicultural nationalities and language skills.
Well, thank you so much. And could you share a bit about your professional background, which also is very fascinating, all the different steps you have taken? Could you give an overview to our listeners?
Sure. So here in Switzerland, you have the possibility to have dual studies, which means you go to school and in parallel you work. And I did that. And before I went to a let's say a official job opportunity in my area where I study. I worked for the police, the criminal police, and as a simultaneous translator. And that was a really special experience, I can say, because, you have to work with bad boys and bad girls, and you have also a psychologist on your side. But I was really young, and it was really tough for me. The simultaneous translator and translation was cool, but the topic was really tough. And then they moved me to the court because I don't wanted to do that anymore. And then that was better, but it was not my passion, and it was not. I mean, they wanted to keep me because I spoke several languages for them. It was really cool, but it was not the area that I wanted to move forward, let's say. And then I had the possibility because of a neighbor, how coincidence happens. They worked in an IT company, and they asked me, "Hey, Vanessa, why are you not coming to a tech industry?" And I said, "What? Tech what?" I could even not, recognize a Windows from an office. I was like 20 or something. And I said, "Well, what can I do there?" And he said, "Yeah, this is an international company with your languages. You can speak with the entire world." And that was when they catch my attention. And I say, "Okay, let's try." And I was really not what I was doing there, right? I just applied, and I really got the job. And that was the moment where I entered the tech industry because of my languages and but I don't have any IT background. So I was really not familiar with the tech industry, as I said. And it was really funny because I was there and taking care of customers. And with that, then I enter into the topic of technology and what we were selling and all this. And it was really a learning by doing. And that was actually my first love to the technology. And I never left the tech industry afterwards.
It's so interesting to hear, with your language background, and then that moment that your neighbor got you interested in going to the tech industry, and here you are many years later, and it's just really
many years later.
It is fascinating. And when I was doing my research for our conversation, I came across your grandmother's advice, which I really loved. So I'm going to quote this here. She said, "You are the only version of yourself in this world, and this is exactly your superpower. Use it." Can you tell me a bit more? How has this motto influenced you?
Well, this motto has influenced my entire life because it was not very easy to grow as an immigrant in Switzerland at that time. The teacher always told me that I don't have to become a genius in school because one day I will go back to my country. And I was devastated. I asked my mom all the time, why they say that? I mean, I was born in Switzerland. I don't have another country. I never understood that he meant as I was born in Switzerland and I was grow up here, why they are saying that to me, just because I have black hairs and a brown skin. I was very good at school, but it was always very difficult to do things and enter. And always when I ask something, the teacher has an excuse to not include me in, some cool projects or some pitches or speech, or, they put me always aside, even I had the potential to do it. So therefore, I lost a lot of confidence at that time. I was young and I was always upset, and I didn't like to go to school because of that. And my grandmother, so the ones that grown me during 9 years, she said that to me: you are the only version of yourself, and this is your superpower. You will never find somebody else in the world like you. Use that. And of course, with 9 or 10 years, you don't understand that, but you have that in your DNA already. You heard it several times. It's somewhere in the brain. And when I had these circumstances in school, I always remember that. And that was the power that she gave me at that time when I hear that. And I said, no, I can. Why? Why is that he cannot judge on me? He don't know anything about me. Why he's saying I am not capable to do it? Why he's saying that? And then it was the other way around. So I gained more power through those words to say, no, I can, I will do that. And I will show everybody that I can. So this is what happens with this quote to me during my school time, when I was so, upset and sad about what's happening.
Thinking back what you had just said, that one of the reasons all of your career is exactly on that, background, having the ability to speak so many languages. And thank you. And so now, the first time I saw and learned about you was when, you started the Bring Women Back to Work program. And it is now a second anniversary. So happy second anniversary to the program. And
thank you.
It's just, amazing. And I'd love to learn more. Why did you decide to start this program, and how did you decide to do it?
Look, this program is basically a summary of my up and downs in my life. When we go through challenges in life, we don't know why it's happening, right? We always ask I ask myself, why has that happened to me? Until I understood that challenges in life is very important to grow and to gain a superpower. And the superpower will help you manage your next challenge. So this is for me very important to understand, because things happen in life which you cannot control. And you cannot always, crawling around and say, help, what's going on here? So you can really strengthen you and make you a better version of yourself. And bringing them back to work, to go back to your question, was a summary of all my up and downs until I built the program. So my parents, for example, divorced when I was 9 years old. And my mom had to take 2 jobs to carry me. And she was frequently exhausted and sometimes also sad. That was the moment where I decided, it was not the moment at 9, but it was the moment, when I grew up, when I decided, hey, I will always be independent for me, for my mom, and obviously for my kids. And second, then later on, when I went back, for example, from my second maternity leave, my job was occupied. That was unexpected experience for me, because I was not aware that my job were giving to somewhere else. I was thinking that I can start where I stopped, but it was not like this. And then I learned that, for example, in Switzerland, every 7 women lose her job during or after maternity leave. So it has really a statistic behind that. It has several reasons why that happens, but it happens. So, and on a later stage, I also find out that women are underrepresented in IT, for example, not only in IT, by the way. And also that as a working mom in the tech industry, I thought that's the best place to be as a mom, right? It's a flexible work place where you can combine your private schedule with your business schedule. And this is a summary of my challenges and experience. And when at that time my parents at Salesforce said to me, hey, what are you doing here? And what is the thing that you want to do more? And then I thought, I don't know, I want to change, I want to have more women in IT. I want to do this, but it was not clear in my head what this really mean. And then when I joined Salesforce, I was responsible for the partner ecosystem. So also responsible for growing the ecosystem within the partners, where when they said to me, hey, we are struggling to find new talents, we are struggling to find women because we cannot find women working with us within the Salesforce ecosystem and so forth. And I was like, okay, I think now I know what I should do. I will build a program where the partners can access the pool of talent. And because those women are not coming from the tech industry, and we are hiring for attitude and training for skills, we are then building them for the tech industry. So the partners will then hire them. So all these women have an amazing background, but not in tech, which is not a problem because we will reskill them in the program. So what I did, I built a program that goes 1 year. For the women that applies and gets accepted into the program is for free. In this year, they learn the basics of IT. They learn to gain their confidence back because most of those women had a longer career break, is in a foreign country, is not coming from the tech industry. So she has to deal with several challenges at the same time. And we are building knowledge around technology, but also a lot of trainings around confidence. And we are giving mentorship, we are giving coaching, we are giving advices, leadership training. So everything in 1 year. And during the year, we also connect, obviously, these great women with our partners. So the partners in the program, it's not only the partners from Salesforce, but also customers from Salesforce became a partner of Bring Them Back to Work in the meantime, which is absolutely great. So then they hire out of this pool of talent, and they started a new journey in a new area and in a new industry. And the program, in the meanwhile, as you already said, is 2 years old. We have 68 women in the program. 65% has been already hired. 55% has already an administration certification from Salesforce. And 86% of those jobs that they got over the program are part-time positions. So everything what seems very difficult or impossible to get as a, let's say, a normal woman individual who had a longer career break, wants to enter in a new industry, is being possible with him bringing them back to work. We have also women that had or that got hired during pregnancy, which is in Switzerland very, very rare. First of all, a woman will never apply to a job when she is pregnant. This is the behavior, or I don't know, the unconscious bias in us, or the confidence that is missing. And the partners within the program are very well aware of this equality and diversity topic that we are running. And every partner that participates in Bring Them Back to Work has this DNA in their company and has equality and diversity as part of their values. So for them, it's not an issue if a woman is pregnant or not. If she is the right fit, she will get hired. And these are all things that happens within the program, which is really amazing to see.
That's just fascinating. And it's amazing, how many lives the program is changing for the better. And so I'm curious if, reflecting back on the 2 years, what would you say has been the most surprising aspect of the program?
I had so many positive experience, and I think that for me, it is such a gratitude to see that we are helping so many women out there with a new chapter in their life. This is for me a absolutely highlight. For me, it's also a highlight that I have partners in the program that hired 14 women in their company from bringing back to work. 14, 1-4, another one 10, and another one 4. So they really like the way that they are now increasing their diversity within their teams. Remember we started with, we don't find talent, we don't have women, to 14 women in their business. And the other highlight is for me that really we can change. You have to be crazy enough to believe that you can change the world, and you really do. I had a vision, I had a plan, and it works. It really works. And I can really change the DNA of companies through the program by showing all the stories, all the success stories we have from partner side and also from the participant side.
That's amazing. And so, one of the things people might be wondering listening to us, so the women who joined, can you tell what transferable skills do you feel they brought with them that they gained during their time of the career break, the unpaid care work, that was helpful for them in that program?
I think that for everybody, it means something else. So everybody goes through their own challenge in life, and you become the unique version of yourself through this, right? And for example, I can speak for myself. When I become a mother, a lot of things changed. I become a doctor, I become a teacher, I become a clown, I become so many things. So reskilling is per se in our DNA. And this is also something that supports you when you enter back in the business. And when you have to, to be more conscious about your work, what you are doing, you have less time, but you have to do more. How you structure your daily business with a family and with kids and with school and with their network and with your network and so forth. I think that it's difficult to answer this question because everybody is unique. And I think that what they can learn in the program is obviously the reskilling that we are doing, but the people behind this, that's unique. You cannot change that. And you cannot do anything about that because this is unpayable and this is priceless. This is what I see, and this is what I want, that people focus on the human being and not are looking for 10 languages, 2 university degrees, 7 trainings, I don't know what. So I think that everybody brings something to their next job opportunity. And the most important is the person, because the rest you can learn.
Where do you see the program go in the next, let's say, 5 years or so?
Well, I hope that this program expand internationally within Salesforce. But my biggest mission is to really change the DNA of the companies and to change the way they attract talent and become a more diverse culture within their company.
There are people listening from all over the world. They might be HR leaders or business leaders. And now they've listened to you bringing back women from unpaid care work into the business world. So what would you tell them sort of in general, if they wanted to start doing this? They might not have a program like yours. Any tips to them? How do you start bringing back more women who might have had a career break?
So thank you for this question. First of all, equality and diversity has to be a core value of the companies. and has to be led and lived by the leaders. This is number one. They have to have a program in place where they can retain first and maintain their woman after a break. So what they are doing, what they can do to bring these women back. In Switzerland, for example, just to give you a sense of numbers, 60% of women with a university degree never find back to work. Why? So certainly have a program in place. It can be something like bring them back to work, but it can be also something smaller, specifically for their industry or specific for their company. So they have also to build transparency in salary and promotion to ensure equal pay for equal work. Talking about salary should be not a taboo. It should be discussed within employees and the managers to avoid gaps and correct where needed. They have to build a flexible environment if possible and lead people by performance and not by hours. And then more and more companies have to see their employees as a human being, as I said before, first, and give them the freedom to express and meet the needs of their entire identity. So we have to see people in a new, with a different lens. For me, the greatest platform for change is people. If you don't have, you can have the best technology ever, but if you don't have the right people that can use it, the technology is useless. So it's so important to have not only diverse people, but also to keep your people and to see them as a human being and to see that they have also a private life and to see that how can we support the caregivers in their situation? How can we financially support families with caregivers in it? Most of the time are still women.
You just said most of the time, caregivers are still women. So how can we have more male role models who work part-time or who have been a stay-at-home dad for a while so we can get to gender equality faster?
So I think that we are doing great. So many companies are changing that, and it's not only, and it's not a taboo anymore if the father works 80%. And so, but I think that we need to communicate and to talk about that more about this change to make that change more happen. That it's not a taboo if a father stay at home and the mother go working. Or, for example, the flexible work style that I mentioned before, it's also very convenient for both, not only for women, but also for the men who has obviously family at home so that they can, say, okay, I stay in the morning, you go in the afternoon, I carry then the kids, you carry them. So this flexible work, it's obviously a beneficial for both. And the other thing is what Salesforce, for example, is doing. We give 3 months of paternity leave. Here in Switzerland is a couple of days. That's it. So then it's for sure who has to stay at home. It's clear that it's the woman and not the father. And if we are changing that, if we are giving the possibility also to father to stay at home by extended the paternity leave time, or by giving them the flexible possibilities to work from anywhere or part-time, I think then we came into a point where we see, okay, again, it's the human being. It's not about women or men, it's the human being. And it doesn't matter if it's the women or the man who has to carry the children, both has the same opportunity in the business, but also the flexibility to manage their lives. And if we change that in companies, I believe that we can have this balance on equality and also men and women in the business.
I think this is so important. And, so I'm wondering, here is your program bringing women back to tech. I'm looking and there are few men in care work or education. do you know, is there a program similar, but the opposite in the sense of, bringing men to care or educational careers so that we have more of a diversity?
Mm-hmm. No, unfortunately, I am not aware of that. But I think that, as I said before, many companies are doing great work. Like, for example, Salesforce is a great example. But we have to talk more about that. We have to tell the world the great things we are doing around equality and diversity. Every company should have that really in top of mind in the communication, because it is first of all, it's great for the company because it's a great place to work. Second, it's like I am doing here at Premium Back to Work, like talking about the success stories brings other company to change.
I really appreciate that you are here and you're sharing more so people from all over the world can listen and realize that, this could be something they could start, whether it's in a small way or a bigger way at their organization as well. So really happy to have you here. And now one question I have is, we are in the pandemic, and how do you feel that the pandemic has influenced the future of work and flexible work in particular?
Well, in many ways, right? So thanks to the technology, we were able to still work, to still serve our customers, to still do our job, and get the paycheck end of the month. Company has understood that trust is the new value of work. Over 90% of the companies has enabled their employees to work from home. Before, it was like 35th or 34%, something like this. I saw in a recent study of IDC. So more opportunities to find more talents, as people don't have to come every day to the office, for example. And consequently, your talent pool has increased. Companies has created different workplaces within their companies to support network, but also team workshops and projects instead of working in silos and working in a one single place, let's say. So they have understood, I think, the different ways of work and what the value and the privilege is. And thanks also to technology, of course. What fascinated me is that companies had understood that even if you are not seeing your employee face to face, that he is working, right? What that's why I meant about trust is, the new value of work, because you have to trust your employee because you are not seeing them anymore every day. And this, I think, it's one of the most important aspects of the change that we went through the pandemic in the workplace.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And there were so many bad things that have happened in the last 2 years. But yes, being able to have more people working remote or hybrid, and therefore, having other aspects of trust-based work, like maybe job sharing, where you have to also trust each other. I think it's been really, really helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, in the past, before the pandemic, it was not possible to work with the kids.
Right.
And this was also a learning for me. So how to work with the kids at home, how to restructure my working day and my working life with the kids at home. This was also a learning. It works as well. It works. They learned, okay, now I don't ask. And yeah, I mean, it's not ideally, but it can work. And we learned that also working with several people at home, it is a challenge, but it helped us to understand better, okay, how can I do what by when? And that was super interesting also for me, I have to admit.
Yeah. Now, I'm curious, do you have a favorite book that you could be sharing with our audience?
Well, when I have time to read.
Yes.
Just a detail, but yes, I love reading biographies, and the one who touched me the most was certainly the one from Steve Jobs. he became a better version of himself through his life as well and through his experience. And he had a lot of up and downs, but he never gave up. And interesting also to read the story that he built and invented and where this company is today. I mean, it's amazing to see the evolution of his idea from then to now. So fascinated me, absolutely.
Thank you. Now, it's been wonderful talking to you. Is there anything today that we have not touched upon that you would like to share with our audience?
I think we shared the most important things. And I think that if a woman is listening to us and is struggling to go back to work, I just wanted to say that, first of all, she has to enable her network. She's not alone and she's not the only one. So enable her network means husband, partner, mother, care school, whatever. And then to trust, delegate and trust. It's what we are doing in the business. It works also at home. And then to be excited about what is coming for her. And that certainly she will become the better version of herself.
Thank you. And now, how can people find you, Vanessa?
Well, you can find me over the program, BWBW at salesforce.com, but also on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn as well, very active, sharing topics and stories around the program, but also around our marketing stories in Switzerland. So happy to connect.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. It was such a wonderful conversation with you. I learned so much. And thank you for sharing all of these insights with listeners from all over the world.
Thank you for having me once again. It was a pleasure to talk to you. So greetings to Vancouver and goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We hope you gained valuable insights and new ideas. To keep listening to future episodes, please head over to iTunes or your favorite player and subscribe and give it a rating. We would very much appreciate a review and for you to share it on social media, so more people can start innovating in how they offer employment. Until the next time, goodbye.